Hello, everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Page. And I am Jennifer Crosswhite of Tandem Services. I'm a book coach and editor, and we have Stephanie Fager, our book marketing strategist extraordinaire
I
today.
like how you always add extraordinaire,
I
Jen.
like extraordinaire. I like that. That is an
I like it
underrated
too.
word. I
You
just,
make me feel good.
I just love it. I think it's a fantastic word. We should
I
use
do
it more.
too. I will. Thank you.
We're continuing our series on the 5 questions every piece of content that you write needs to address. And we are on question 3 today, which is what's at stake. But before we get to that, do you have your mug? What mug do you have today?
I have it.
Yes, we have
Cheers.
Yes.
Beyond the Page. I love it. Although I've drank everything from it, so it's empty at the moment.
Yes. Well, mine's got a little bit of coffee left in it. But we're finally getting slightly cooler. We'll still be in the 80s today, but we're at the point now where it's cool in the morning and cool in the evenings, which is really nice because it feels a little bit like fall. We usually don't get fall weather till November, but
I'm in a sweater, Jen. Like it's cold here. We have heat going.
you
in
guys
the
have
room.
the whole have you seen the weather maps that like one half of the country is freezing, the other half is quite warm. And then I guess we're gonna switch places.
Yeah. Well, we were supposed to have flurries too. I don't know if we did because I never leave the house, but my husband said it's supposed to flurry the other day. Yeah, it's been cold. We've got I have a essential oil diffuser and I have spiced cider in the room. So like it is smelling like fall.
Yes, that's the best. When we
Yeah.
lived in Indiana, 1 year my kids were young, we had snow flurries the first week of October. And then it was beautiful for Halloween because they went trick or treating without a coat. I mean, many times
You
you go
never
trick
know.
or treating in a heavy coat back there.
Yeah, you never know here.
I've been trick or treating in the sleet. That is no fun.
No, that is not fun at all. I would be staying home that day and just giving my kids the entire bag of candy. Can you save me the misery?
Right? Yes. So my kids are way, way too old for that. I don't know if they're going to do something with their friends or not, but Halloween's
Well, Jen, before we went live, I was telling you we have a new friend in the house.
Yes.
And I have to show. This is Pumpkin.
I love Pumpkin. So cute.
Yeah. So Corey and I, my husband and I, we are suckers, Jen. We're suckers. We find these little kitties that need a foster home, and we foster them and then rehome them. And sometimes we keep them, which is why we have a zoo. But this one will not. So Pumpkin she's such a sad story, Jen. One of my husband, he does home health, and one of his patients has lots of kitties that keep having babies. And this kitty baby, it was one of 3. The other 2 did not make it.
Aw, that's sad.
And I know. So Pumpkin came home to our place, and she is getting acclimated to my crazy children and life indoors. But we're pumped. She's so sweet. It also feels like fall too with her being around. Like her colors are even fall colors.
Yes, I had a cat that named Maisie, the patchy calico-y type.
You know, it's called a tortoise shell. Tortoise shell. Yep, she's a tortie.
Yeah.
Torties usually have a lot of attitude too, so that's fun.
Yes.
She's got some. This cutie has some attitude, but she's so sweet. Oh, I was so when we have a foster, we foster them in our bathroom. This is the safe way when you have other cats. And I was just telling you've been to that bathroom, our foster bathroom. I was just telling Kiergan, another member of our team, when you go to the bathroom today, you will have a guest hanging out and saying hi. You must pet the guest.
Yeah.
So
yes, kitty company. It's so fun.
Yes.
It's a sweet thing. I know with animals. Julie's joining us today.
Julie.
So nice to see Julie. That when you foster animals, I mean, it's just such a need, and it's a wonderful way to open your home but not have it be a permanent thing.
Yeah,
so that's really awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess this is relevant to our chat. My son charged me to write a book about the cats. I think I told you this, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, no, I'm not writing a book about the cats. And he said, you must. And so I have decided one day I will write a book, and one day in the near future, I will write a book about how to or not to engage with your potential readers and clients through the lens of the personalities of my 6 cats.
I love it.
I'm excited about it.
Well, I was just at a writers' conference this last weekend, and two of my writing friends I've known for a long time, they talked about their writing friendship over the years. And one of them described herself as a golden retriever, and the other one described herself as a Siamese cat. So, and actually, it really does fit their personalities. And I just thought that was really interesting. I mean, it's true, right? You can look at your own personalities through different animal lenses. There's certainly personality tests that do that. Yep. But you also have to be aware of what is your client, what is your customer, where are they? Because obviously what a golden retriever wants is very different than what a Siamese cat wants, right? Yep. So that brings us to our discussion of stakes. So stakes, this is really important. And when we're talking about, you might have heard this term quite a bit if you were in the fiction world, because you have to tell a story that has stakes. If there's no stakes, if your person is trying to achieve a goal, your main character, they have a goal. That is the point of the book. Right. If they fail, and it doesn't matter that they fail, then who cares? Why do we have this story, right? The stakes are important. That's what grabs you emotionally. If you go to a movie, and let's say like a Mission Impossible type movie, there's always like the bomb countdown, right? There's a reason we see the stakes. Like if he doesn't get there in time, the whole city's going to blow up. Those are pretty high stakes.
Yes.
So the most, visual version of the stakes. But when you're writing nonfiction, there's also stakes. Yep. So I love to use I love to use a business term for example of like a finance book. Yeah. So if you're a financial advisor, if you're writing a book about how to help people with their personal finance, what are the stakes if they don't follow your advice? Right? So maybe they if they're married, they're fighting with their spouse. Maybe they don't save enough for retirement. Maybe, there's a lot of things that happen around money. Money has a lot of emotional issues. It's not just money. And so there's some real stakes around that. You would think, oh, money, that sounds kind of, boring and dry, but there's real stakes around it. Even if you're writing a memoir, there's real stakes, right? As you are going through the lesson that you learned, the slice of life that you're talking about in your memoir, the readers need to feel what is going to happen if you don't achieve this enlightenment, or if you don't learn this lesson, right? You're going to maybe still feel empty or lost or bitter or angry or whatever it might be if you don't make that emotional journey. Wherever we're at, stakes are really, really important. So whenever you're writing anything, piece of content, blog post, whatever it might be, you need to tell people, they need to know what are the consequences here if they don't hit those stakes. If those are the kind of if we don't do this, this is the negative consequence. What's at stake?
Okay, so first of all, when you first said steak, I was like, I don't eat meat, my friend. I'm a vegetarian. But when I ate meat, I only liked steak. And so it makes sense that now as a marketer, I'm in the business of uncovering stakes, because that's what it is. It's uncovering the problems. Like, what are the problems? But I like how you've positioned it on what is at stake, because it's one thing to say you have a problem. Another thing is what is it? The stake goes deeper. Like, we have a problem. Money's the problem. But what is at stake is what could implode in your life if you don't get control of the money, or what could implode in your business if you don't get your hands around how to navigate the money, right? So you've taken, and I really love this, Jen, you've taken, people have problems, but when you start talking about what's at stake, what could impact, then it becomes it turns what might be a want into a need, because now it's like, I have to do it now. Like, if I wait too long, I could lose money. If I wait too long, I might not get that diagnosis. If I wait too long, maybe I'm not going to be the leader that I know I can be. Or I don't get the job promotion or whatever. So all of those stakes are really important, because it to me, it actually creates an emotional reaction. And not that you want people to take action on emotion only, but emotion is what drives us to take immediate action.
And that's a really, really good point, because people can recognize that there's a problem and they can say, well, someday, right? I mean, we all have so many things vying for our attention.
Yep.
So if you want to reach your reader, you have to make this something urgent that's going to rise to the top. And so if they don't take action today or soon, what are the consequences going to be? What's going to happen if we don't? And that's one of the things that we don't, as business owners, we don't want our readers, our customers, potential clients, we don't want them to wait around forever to engage our services. We want them to do it now. Like now is important.
Now, okay, so there's a story because Jen, you're in the business of storytelling, and it hit me. I have to tell it because I think it's actually relevant. Going back to being a meat eater, you're gonna be like, Stephanie, it is not about steak, but there is a story about steak here. When I was a kid and I would only eat steak and bacon, Jen, that was it. That was it.
Well, if you're gonna eat meat, those are the two best ones to eat.
That was it. Yep. No healthy meat, no lean meat, no white meat, steak and bacon. And my dad would cook steak on the grill outside. And while he was cooking steak out on the grill, I was notorious for being known to go out there and ask for a taster bite. And so he would cut me off a little bitty piece, make it all nice and perfect, well done, or whatever. And then I'd eat it. I'd tell him if it was any good, if it needs more seasoning. It got me thinking when we were talking about what's at stake and this whole conversation, we know the implications of so if people don't do something in their life, what it could do in their personal and their professional business. But I also, as a marketer, want us to think of how do you tell them what's at stake in taste or bite ways. Because if you lay it all on them, then they're going to feel doom and gloom and actually become immobilized. So how can you give them little taster bites of that steak? I think I'm going to write a blog on this, Jen. Little taster bites of the steak and help them realize, hey, guess what? Like, if we're going down the financial conversation, for example, listen, you could, by making these financial changes with Profit First, for instance, by adapting how you run your business, by leveraging a Profit First model, you can actually ensure your business is in the green, not in the red. That's a taster. You can actually pay you first, taster. You can actually have profit, taster. It's not so much, your business will not succeed in the next 18 months if you don't do it. Like might be what's at stake. But the taster bites make it easier to digest the heaviness, and then you become a solution, and they're going to want the whole steak and A1 sauce.
Yes. And I love that. And I think this is, Costco does this so well, right? There's a reason Costco's known for the samples that they put out.
Yes.
And that's because they know it's one thing to see something on the shelf and all that, but how many times you bought something and you get it home and you're like, wow, that's terrible. I really don't like that. And so it makes you very hesitant to purchase. But when you get a taste of something and you're like, wow, that's actually really good. I like that. I'm going to go get it. Totally different experience. So anytime you can give your potential clients, readers, customers a taste of what it's going to be like to work with you, a little bit of the benefit, give away the gold, right? Don't hold back all the good stuff. Don't say, well, if you would only work with me, I can tell you how to overcome this, but you have to work.
No. Anytime I hear someone say that, Jen, because a lot of the people I get to work with are entrepreneurs. So they're the ones that are building businesses. If I hear them start to go down the path of, oh, well, if I tell them this, what will it do? I'm like, nope. That is not an abundance mindset. That is a scarcity mindset. Give away the goods, but do it in a way where it's not overkill. You know it, you love it. This is a part of your breathed life on the daily, but somebody else might not like that or might not understand it. I mean, like Jen, it took me way too many months to say out loud for me to understand how to navigate a piece of software you and I both use. I'm not going to say it. It's embarrassing. Okay.
Me too, though.
Right. I mean, I was like, why did it take me this long to do it? Right. If somebody would have told me in the beginning, guess what? Here's the old entourage. Enjoy the whole steak stuff. I'd have been like, dude, I don't even know where the knife is to cut it.
Seriously.
Going slow will help those who maybe could really, really benefit from your offerings, but in a way that allows them to hear it and it resonate. I mean, when you go deep into how your business, your book, your message can change lives, any of us can become very impassioned. So take a step back and highlight what's at stake at the high level, but then give them tasters about what could change things in the process. But you're also right, Jen. Like if you just look at any form of a business, the reason you have a business is because something is at stake. Like,
right. You want to make a difference. You want
to make a difference. If there wasn't something at stake, there would be no need for the business.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
And the other thing to keep in mind, I was thinking when you were talking too, is that sometimes you're not the answer for the person right now, but you gave them a little something that stays in the back of their mind where they can come back later and go, okay, now I'm ready. Now I'm ready because I know what I'm going to get when I'm dealing with you. Right. The other thing that you talked about too, that I think is important, is this push-pull, this repel and attract, right? Mm-hmm. We do not want to attract everybody. And so part of by staking out the stakes and saying what they are, some people won't agree with you. Some people say, well, that doesn't matter to me. That's not important to me. That's fine. You don't want those people to be in your world. They're not your readers. They're not your clients. But the people who are like, yes, I'm totally with you on that. That's who you want to attract. And so whenever you do take a stand and you say what this is, yes, you will repel some people. And that is exactly what you want to do. And I find that a lot of people are afraid of that. You know, you probably run into this too when you're trying to market people's books and they're like, it's for everybody. And it's like, if it's for everybody, it's for nobody.
You know what I always say, Jen? There are, last I counted, 7 billion some odd people in the world. Yes. If 1% of 1% of the 7 billion people thought you were cool, your business would implode if they all tried to sign up today. You have no capacity. Right. So if you try to reach everybody, like you literally aren't even going to be good at it. You can't. Right. So let it go, move on, and realize maybe everybody can benefit from your message. Maybe the stakes for everybody are massive for everyone, but become unapologetic instead of the ones that you know that only you can reach, right? Yes. Like you know, like I resonate really well with my memoir world, you know, with Christian women mothers.
Yes. Right.
So it doesn't mean that people who don't fall in that circle that they won't benefit. Absolutely. But if I start trying to reach everybody, I will censor my life in a way that makes my message dull and boring.
And I had a thought about this the other day that I think is really true, is that there is something when you are very specific, almost the more specific you are, the more universal you become. So for example, if you're trying in the fiction world or even like the memoir, if you're trying to describe a scene, the more particular you get, like someone said, you know, don't try to describe the horrors of war, but you might describe an abandoned stroller or a child's toy in the midst of a crater marked street, right? That specific image is so much more powerful. And I think the reason why it's powerful is because it tugs on those emotional heartstrings. We can picture that. We can resonate with that. We understand that. The horrors of war is just so big, we can't even fathom. But you give us a very specific image, we can have that emotional resonance. And so even if it's not something that we personally have experienced, if we can create a little bit of resonance with that, then we're going to be much more likely to share that with other people because it touched us emotionally. We can say, oh my gosh, you have to pick up this book on finance. They talked specifically to, like, were they listening to that last fight my husband and I had over money, right? Yeah. Like the language was so specific. You're much more likely to share with other people something that resonates with you emotionally, instead of saying, you know, I read this book and they had this great budget outline on, you know, why you should do this and kind of this very intellectual treatise. Most people don't share that. They don't find that emotionally compelling. So when you get specific, you bring in those emotions and that emotional connection. And I do not care if you're writing the most dry business book, the emotional connection is going to be what is going to get people to be engaged and want to share this with other people. And so that is why the specific works so much more better than the unique.
That's brilliant and beautiful and totally spot on, because just on so many levels, Jen. I mean, this is why I love when you and I chat, because as a fiction author, you have a totally unique perspective than I do when we're looking at books and messages. And there's so much overlap and yet so much independence. And just how you were sharing and even describing a scene is reminding me of the power of that story, that people connect with people. People buy from people.
Yes.
People engage with people. People read books that people write. And when you realize that, you realize it's not really you only giving somebody the answers to fix the stakes that they're up against. Instead, what you're doing is you're inviting them on the journey to see and to feel. So I just finished a book from a woman I met at a writer's retreat. Both you and I, by the way, were at writer's retreats last week.
Yes.
Just different ones. Here. But I met this amazing woman and her husband and had experienced a 26-day bout of amnesia. He, through immense stress, lost 10 years of his life. And for 26 days was trying to navigate through it again. It's not something I personally understand or have experienced, although with some of my neurological stuff, I understand in different ways others might, but I don't fully understand it. However, because of what and how she shared it, the stakes there for her specifically and her husband for co-authoring this book was identifying the impact of stress, not caring for brain health, and evaluating your life and assessing what really matters. Her husband, when he was in the thick of his amnesia, was questioning, why are you all on your phones? Why are we living in this digital world? Like, because 10 years ago, it was not that. And so what is at stake? Your life. But it was through how she shared this. And her book, I'm going to show it actually, because it was really good. One Thing Remains. You actually, Jen, you would really, really love it, because what she found is that at the end of everything, when he lost his memories for that time, the one thing that remained constant was his relationship with Christ and his remembrance and feeling of what the word did for him, right? So he could still, he was still in present day David in his relationship with his faith, even though everything else in his life had been gone 10 years. So the one thing that remained was the word. But deeper than that, it was just the stakes of, we don't see them. We don't know what we're doing to ourselves in our own life. And how does that impact how we interact with people, how we live our life? All of us are just, one moment away from being in a situation just like David was. So I'm going to remember that because it was a story. And that story was shaped in a way, not where I had to know what it's like to have amnesia, but they brought me into it and helped me understand the
powerful than, we hear this all the time, get off your phones and spend time with the people around you, right? But I mean, that's fine. We get it. We understand that at an intellectual level. But when we hear someone's story, it grabs us at the heart level, right? Now we're like, oh my gosh, those are the stakes. Those are the real stakes. So, I mean, this is why story is so powerful to convey these great truths about life and even the small truths about life that can't come across in any other way. And so make sure you're including stakes in everything that you are putting out there. It's so important.
And even if you don't like steak, you can have your French fries dipped in A1 sauce. That was my answer, Jen. I realized I didn't really like the steak. I just like the A1 sauce. So now that's what I do, is I dip my French fries in. I'm totally writing a blog about, I wrote it down, get a taste of the steak.
I like it. That cracks me up. Well, I used to put A1 sauce on my baked potatoes because there is something.
I've not tried this.
It's actually pretty good. Now I can no longer have A1 sauce because I'm gluten-free and A1 has wheat in it.
And maybe they make it, there's probably, I was going to say tamari. I don't know if tamari is a gluten-free solution to soy sauce, but it is a better, so they probably have a solution.
They might.
Or you can make your own. So when we get tomatoes and stuff in our garden, I have actually made peach barbecue sauce before.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, I'm a little homesteader over here, girl.
I know you have an amazing property. It is so fun. And we'll be doing at some point writing retreats at your
home. We will. Yes, we will.
Yes.
We're putting that in the universe.
That's right. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's a fantastic place. There is something about being out around among nature and just letting everything go. That is just refreshing and it just feels amazing. After being in this writing retreat all weekend, we were in Phoenix and it had thunderstormed and there was just beautiful clouds and the sky was. We went up to South Mountain, which is the south side of Phoenix. You know, it's about 2,300 feet, but we took a friend who was from Minnesota and had never seen Arizona before, which is quite different than Minnesota. Yeah. And it was beautiful. It was just a beautiful counter response being in a hotel room, you know, for a long period of time, thinking deep intellectual thoughts. So,
well, you know, the house next to mine.
I know. I know.
We've got plans, people. We have plans.
Well, I was going to ask you, do you have a quote out of that book? I have a quote to read from a marketing book, but
actually, yes, give me a second because I have literally. Okay, actually, so see, this is what happens when I read books. Nowadays I write all in them.
Yeah,
and underline. All right. So at this point of the story, she is reflecting on this concept of why me, why not me. Right. So a lot of people question this when we go through really hard parts. And she said this, and it really, really sunk in. She said, I would assume you are much like us in that when you look over your life, you find that the painful times were when you grew and matured. Pain means opportunity for growth. No pain means weakness.
That's so true. This is so true. And I mean, that's a truism in life and it's a truism in fiction. If we do not put our characters through difficult things, they will not grow. And I think that's true. It's true in life.
No, it is. You know, I had somebody kind of reflect with me in my past, probably my therapist. That was probably a therapy chat, Jen, but went backwards. And I realized before the age of 15, nothing in my life was challenging. You know, I had an easy life. I'm an only child. My parents provided. We didn't have any conflict in our life. Things were easy. And then when I was 15, my parents got divorced. And it wasn't that it was a bad divorce. It was just totally rocked and changed my world. And not that I would welcome divorce for anybody, but I do actually tell my parents thank you for it, because not only did it deepen my relationship with them, but it changed me on the inside and it opened my eyes. Like I couldn't understand other people until I started to do that and realize that cookie cutter is not only possible, it's not even fun. Like, how do you understand beauty when you haven't experienced what it's like to not have it?
So true. It's very true. Well, the marketing book seems very shallow after that, but it actually relates. It's The Undefeated Marketing System by Philip Stutz.
Ooh, nice.
Very interesting approach. He is all about the data, the market data. Yeah. He used to work in politics, and so they would do all the data.
All the data.
And so he makes a really, really good point here. This is what we've been talking about. He says the best thing you can do is actually form a relationship with your clients, potential clients, and find out what people really care about. And so, you know, he says a lot of companies market whatever, and they have no idea if they're missing their clients, what their clients care about at all. And that's really what we're talking about with the stakes. When you figure out what the stakes are, you figure out what people care about.
Yes.
So talk to people. Find out
talk to people. Boom, poof. You got to talk.
Is what anybody wants, you know, anything to do with. So
it's brilliant. No, that's brilliant. And it's true. It goes back to what I call the entrepreneur equation, right? You have something of value. If you want to have a marketable solution, the missing link when you're solving for X is what are the needs of the people that you can serve through the book? What is that? So the best, most beautiful equation is when you pair what you bring, your unique skill set, with the needs and what people care about. Together, it creates a solution they will buy. That's the other thing. We don't want books out there that people don't pick up. A book on a shelf that collects dust makes Stephanie's heart sad. Let's not do that. No sad hearts.
Well, next week we are talking about question number 4, which is what is the lie? Also a very, very key element, no matter what.
I'm excited, Jen.
There are lies everywhere that we believe and we don't even know that we believe them. So we have to uncover those.
That is so true.
Excited to talk about that. And as usual, I bring people to the page through my editing and book coaching work, and Stephanie brings authors to the written page or after the written page and get their book out into the world. And so, authors, we want to remind you, as always, your words have power, your book has power, and so does your message. And so we invite you to take that message to the page and beyond. And even if there are ghost cats coming
I was about to say, and the ghost lives in
Pippin.
Pippin.
Pippin looks just like Stephanie's cat, Oreo.
Oreo.
So,
there's siblings from other parents. Yeah, that's great. Well, we will see you next week. Thanks for joining, people. We love y'all.
All right, we'll see you. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
See ya.